motion, that's just a disguise. My linebackers, they stepping up. Clog a hole, no letting up. Taking on no big blocks. On fourth down, we get big stops. My secondary is balling out. Your offense keeps stalling out. How many yards? Like none at all. Call the special teams, come punt the ball, and it's gone. And you never see me fair catch. I get a block and then I'm gone like a Learjet. My helmet on, pass strap tight. My jersey shining in them Friday night lights. Win. We just came to win.
And welcome to the Full Throttle Power Sports post-game show. We are KT broadcasting with Kevin Hastings, Dennis Davis, Will Boykins, and I believe Steve DeGree, he was chowing down some, oh, there he is, and he was chowing on some wings in our break room. But one thing I got to say before we start, playoffs. Don't talk to me about playoffs.
Playoffs?
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. I mean, it is playoffs
Listen,
after all. So.
I started that in week 9. That's the last thing I said. Playoffs.
Here we are.
JP, you've been awful quiet
no
tonight.
playoffs.
What do you mean I've been awful quiet?
As soon as we turn the microphone on, you turn into Little John in there.
Hey, it's time. You waiting for the lights to come on. Lights, camera, off, action, and hey, out come JP.
I was born to be behind the camera.
Right. You said that
you
right.
You do have
behind,
a face
yeah.
for radio.
He said behind the camera.
Hey, that is true.
He was born to be behind the camera.
That is actually the most true statement I can make. I'm not made for in front of the camera. I'm made for behind it. That's where I thrive, is behind the camera, not in front of it.
Oh,
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the post-game show. We will have some
Andre.
He's behind me. You can see it on the screen.
at some point.
There's a whole lot of colors he got on, too. A lot of colors, Andre.
Take that sweater off, and we'll talk about what kind of colors we got on. Look at this. Look at this man.
I got on the colors of a
He's talking about all the
13-time
colors
world
you got.
champion.
Look at this.
They made that C wrong. It looks like a G.
He's a 13-time world champion. You can come in here with that Tampa Bay hat and stand right there and stare down at me all you want to. How many you got? This is Green Bay, 13-time world champion. You ain't got to worry about it. To somebody come up and catch us, ain't nobody got 12 yet. Somebody come up to catch us, I'm still going to be talking. It don't matter how bad the season we having. Still talking. 13-time world champion. Check the record. 13-time NFL world champion. Check the
How many
record.
times you going to say 13? I think we got it.
Let me say you one more time. 13-time NFL world champion.
I think we got it. It was 13 times they won. I think we got it.
The what?
He said the
Kevin owe you a water.
Yeah.
He told me to get it.
I didn't know whose water that was, so yeah.
That wasn't my fault.
So good evening, everybody. And so, Will, I guess you're a Kyle Busch fan.
Absolutely.
I figured so. Only Kyle Busch fans count non-championship championships. That's cool. Welcome to the show tonight.
Name one championship that I named that was a non-championship.
Yeah, Super Bowls. Andre throws his hands up down the hall for you.
What you mean?
Super Bowls. How many championships the Browns got? If you answer that question, I'll give you credit.
How many NFL world championships the Browns has?
How many championships does the Browns got? If you're counting Green Bay's championship, Browns got like 7 or 8 too.
No, they don't. They don't have any NFL championships.
AFL championships.
They got AFL championships.
Right.
Do we play in the NFL or the AFL?
We play the Super Bowl.
Do we play in the NFL or the AFL?
Will, you do know you're the
Sir.
only person
Steve, how
I've
are you
ever
this
heard
evening?
in my life that comes out and says that stuff.
Because I'm the only person that can say it. Me and the rest of the Green Bay Packers fans. I'm the only. We're the only people that can claim 13-time world champions.
You know, Ric Flair did that for like 20 years.
That was
He was
wrestling.
the 13-time world champion for like 20 years. He was the GOAT.
Booker T was the
was the
five-time
goat.
world champion. So
Well, we're going to talk to David Potter in a minute. I hope that's him calling. Maybe not. Well, let me go ahead and give Dave a call. We got to talk to all of our announcers this week. We had 5 games on the broadcast, folks. For you folks listening on the radio, we do got all the games coming in shortly. Some of them haven't ended yet. Some will have West Henderson and West Run still in a battle. Maiden is, I think the game's still on, but it's out of hand. Blue Devils are up 33-6 in that one. Westro and West Henderson with 2:20 to go. Let's see what the update here is. I'll read it out to you. West Henderson elects to keep it on the ground. It'll also try a 40-yard field goal. Westro and lets the clock run all the way down to 2:27. Blah, blah. Well, that didn't tell me nothing there, Zachary. 48-42, West Henderson leads right now. So my scoreboard score is still correct on that. So they're still battling out. Maiden up now, 33-13. Mount Pleasant just scored. Get some more points on the board for them.
Getting close.
Not really.
Well, wait a minute. Before Wayne Witherspoon calls me, I had predicted that one yesterday, 38-13, and it's 33-13 right now, but it's not over.
So
Your 38 is in jeopardy unless you
We'll have
get
to fire him.
a field goal and a safety.
Yeah.
It's possible. Still can
well,
happen.
all the games are done except for Maiden, who's going to win. Now, West Henderson, Western Win still going back and forth. All right, guys, let's do some matchups and scores for the
We
folks.
actually have a phone caller.
Why didn't you say something?
I'm saying something now. It's the Bulldog.
Who?
Tom
Cinefani.
Sanafani.
All right.
Signor Sintefante.
Do we have it?
Buongiorno.
But John,
Hey guys, how's it going?
Going good.
Doing good.
I just want to call in and talk a little bit about Burns Shelby game. I don't think anybody thought it was going to be a blowout quite the way it was, but I don't know how many times you're going to recover 2 onside kicks and a half of football. So I mean that ended up making the time of possession very lopsided in the first half. I think it was 18 minutes to 6 minutes, and Ryan Thompson just ran wild in that first half. I think he had 3 touchdowns, and I mean, that thing was 28-0 before you could turn around, and I just think it just kind of broke Shelby's spirit. The second half, it was a stalemate for most of it, and then Burns got a long run from Lamont Wilson there to make it 42, and that was all she wrote. But Shelby, they'll be back. They always got more kids coming. They're never down for long, and our kids, I'm just excited for our kids and moving on to the third round, and Coach Devine and his staff. They've just done a great job with this bunch of young men, and they're moving on. Got Salisbury next week. We're looking forward to it.
That's well, I watched the game, the call of the game last night, and I was also surprised. I shouldn't be talking about this game. Steve was at the game as well as Tom. And
First of all, I want to apologize to the Shelby High School fans for the display that we did last night. I haven't even been in the community today. That's how brokenhearted I am. I think this make my 43rd year of coaching football, and I've never been so hurt as a result of a game. But I have to take it the good with the bad because we've won so much. It's just hard to lose. But on those kicks that Tom was just referring to, we knew that if number 18 kicked the ball, he was going to pooch kick it. So we told our receivers to call for a fair catch. And when you're coaching young men who want to make a play, so he decided to not defer catch it, and he fumbled it 2 times in a row. It's just like when you got a good game plan going on, or maybe if a woman cooking, she done got all the ingredients and everything there, and you're ready to go, and all of a sudden, she forgot to put something in it.
yeah,
So I think we forgot to put our heart in it last night. So my hat's off to Coach Divine, who's a very, very good. He's a very good man. Burns are fortunate to have a guy of his character, and he knew exactly what we was going to do. He even ran the same place we ran from the Wildcat because he got him from Shelby. And really, Tom, I don't really know what to say, but Burns deserved to win. They outplayed us. I guess they wanted it more than Shelby did, and I hope y'all win it, Tom. I hope y'all win it and bring it to Cleveland County, and I'll be rooting for you just as hard as I would if Shelby was playing. I want to let you know that.
Well, Steve,
Well, we appreciate.
Go ahead, Tom.
Well, we appreciate that, and like you said, yeah, I knew that wasn't Shelby's best effort of that game, especially those couple of onside kicks. And as that game got late, and I knew it's hard to keep young men motivated when the game has gotten lopsided and got a little out of hand, and that's what happened there at the end. But you guys will be back. I know it's upsetting when you get beat like that by a rival, and we've been on the other end of that too. So I know exactly how you feel, and we do appreciate you supporting us. And Coach Devine, like I said, I appreciate the good things you said about him, because he's done a lot for that program since he's been up there, and I'm sure his experience at Shelby was valuable. He was a defensive coordinator down there and worked with you guys for a number of years, and then came back to Burns. So. It'll be tough going forward. Salisbury, I'm going to look at a little bit of the film this week and see what they have. But I know they'll be good. They beat us a couple of years ago on a 48-yard field goal. They beat us 10-7 and knocked us out of the 2021 playoffs. So we'll just see moving forward, and maybe Burns can bring it home for Cleveland County this year.
Well, Tom. Well, go ahead, Steve.
I really hope so. And I think me and Dennis had talked about this. So we had a bad year. We didn't have a typical Shelby year. But I always want my Cleveland County guys to do good.
Yeah.
And I'll be rooting just as hard for Chris and Kings Mountain and Burns, because you know what? We got to remember that these kids, because I live in the Burns district. All my neighbors go to Burns. And all these kids, I've coached some of them. I coached Bo Westbrook, number 51. He played for Shelby Middle. So Brockine Best, I coached him. And so, Honey Bun, that's my longtime friend right there, Coach Bun. And it's just so many connections that you have with these people. But when you play Shelby, that's your Super Bowl. Because like I say, everybody wants to beat Shelby, and we have set the standards for Cleveland County. And in the Bible it says you have your seasons.
Yeah.
And this just wasn't Shelby's season. But maybe this is Burns season. Maybe this is Kings Mountain season. Maybe this is Crest season. But whatever it is, Tom, I'll be there to watch it.
Well, Steve, I'm going to say something here, and I appreciate you showing up tonight. I think it says a lot about you and your character. Some people throw up their hands and pout. You don't do that. You stepped up and said, hey, just what you said. We didn't have quite the team this year that we've been having. We didn't have the luck. It doesn't matter whether it's sports or politics or something. In life, you're not always going to win.
That's right. That's right.
And how you define the winner is how they get up off the mat and where they go from here. As you guys said, I have no doubt that Shelby football will continue to show excellence in the future. Yeah, but this year, I've got a tag that Ron Green gave me that I used to have in my Senate office, and I had one from Coach Mike Stewart, where both Burns and Crest won state championships back in 93.
94. Right.
I'm sure you guys were pulling for them.
I was there. As a matter of fact,
both teams.
I did. Matter of fact, I had a chance to do the radio because one team played one night, and I think Crest played the next day, and I had the opportunity to do the radio, and it's Cleveland County football.
Well, that's what I wanted to put out, Steve. If you're from some other place and you're thinking that Shelby and Burns are going to war because of a football game, or that Crest and Kings Mountain are going to war over a football game, you're wrong. We support one another. People want to know, Crest went down and played a team last night that was undefeated. And all the chit-chat and the talk on the internets and this, it was, they're so good, they don't have a thing. Cleveland County thinks they're so good. I got news for you. We are. And you know what makes us good? Steel sharpens steel.
That's right.
That's right.
You take a Burns-Shelby contest, you take a Crest and Shelby contest, or a Kings Mountain Crest contest, all you're doing is making your players better. That's the secret to all those championships you've won at Shelby. And Burns, this is their time to shine. I hope Burns gets a state championship.
I do too.
I hope Kings Mountain, they played 100 years. They've never had one. They're the only team that doesn't have a championship. I hope maybe this is their year, although I'd like to pull for Crest, but they got to go to South Point next week, and I don't feel too good about that one.
Well, you're down 7 before you get off the bus.
14. Shelby's only down 7. We're down 14.
And another thing too, speaking of Kings Mountain, just say for instance, like the quarterback Lamont Littlejohn, I keep telling people he's my cousin, his family, and I'll talk to Lamont tonight, his daddy. Sometimes like Lamont was playing at Shelby, he changed and went to Kings Mountain. I was really upset, but you got to understand now. See, that was the best move for that young man.
It was.
See, sometimes you don't understand. God got a plan for everybody.
Yep.
So that was Lamont's plan.
Yeah.
They take him over there to Kings Mountain because if he was still playing at Shelby, he might not got no reps.
It's the wrong
right.
It's the wrong system for his style of play.
For our system, Lamont ML would not been the right for our system. But for Kings Mountain, he's perfect. He threw 2 beautiful touchdown passes tonight.
He's perfect.
And he's a great kid.
Yeah.
Great kid. You know
Well,
what
the
I'm saying?
kid that played at Clemson was from Kings Mountain, but he played high school ball at Crest.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Right.
we don't that recruiting this and stealing this player and that player. Nah, that's not the case. It doesn't work. But kids have a tendency to go where their system works better for them.
Right. And
him,
Tim Ruff.
Yeah.
Tim left Shelby, went to Crest, where he made all state at Crest.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to pick, and I don't like the recruiting, but sometimes, even in life, sometimes scenery is a change is good.
It's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Well, fellas,
Tommy, are you watching? Did you see your beautiful?
That's got to be photoshopped.
That I did not know you still had guns like that, brother.
Oh, you just didn't know, buddy. Now you know.
Hey, fellas,
Now you know. But
hey, Coach, hope you don't mind.
You guys,
Hey, Coach,
you guys
Coach,
pretty
hope
much,
let me tell you this before
pretty
you
much
go.
covered it. That
Hey,
a
Coach.
lot of our
Coach Sonafani.
our players do know each other and they pull for each other. I mean, when they play each other, they're playing to win. There's no doubt about that. But now that one moves on and we support the others because it does say something for the county when our teams do well.
Absolutely.
And, we know that Crest and Kings Mountain can't win it this year, and eventually if they keep on going, they're eventually going to meet each other. But one other person I'd like to talk about from Cleveland County that's moving on is Chris Cogdell at Chase.
Yeah.
They may be on the collision course with Burns if they can get by Reedsville. So, let's not forget about the job that he's doing. I know it's one county over, but he coached in Cleveland County for about 20 years. And I think he's bringing a little bit of that swag over there to that Rutherford County program. So he's done extremely well, and I just wish him well and their program. And there's going to be some epic collisions coming up down the road, guys.
But Tom, that's what makes this program so outstanding. It's not us as announcers; it's the interest that the fans have from Shelby and Burns and Kings Mountain and Crest. They all participate and want to know what's going on. That's why Cleveland County football as a whole, I'm just going to say it, it's great.
It's the best.
You look at the state championships that have been won by Cleveland County teams. And we hope Burns gets another one this year in their division, since Shelby's not going to be able to do that. And we hope that Kings Mountain or Crest gets one in their division. I think it probably favors Kings Mountain at this point. But that would be great to have 2 state champions again. It's not the first time, and it won't be the last.
Hey Coach Sonafani, make sure you save that. Save that speech that time you gave your soccer team up that Chase. save that speech and give it to the football team. I will never ever forget that. That was a great motivation speech you gave.
I appreciate that. Yes, every once in a while I got a good speech in me, but I think there's some other guys trying to call in, guys. So I'm going to get off the phone here and let them appreciate it. I'll see you in the morning, Kevin, and go Cleveland County. Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom. We appreciate you calling in. JP, we got anybody else on the phone?
David should be calling back in about a minute.
Okay. Robbie Roop, if you can hear me, call in. We want to hear about your exploits last night. You and your son teaming up together.
Yeah, I listened to him, RJ.
Roop Incorporated there.
We want to hear about Robbie's exploits.
I want to know what the concession stand had. I saw that menu, and man, they had some. It wasn't no hot dogs and popcorn.
But I tell you what, the concession stand going to be at South Point next week. They got a great concession stand at the Red Raiders.
I ain't giving them
If anybody
no
going
money.
to that game,
I ain't paying them no money.
if anybody going to that game,
They
better
ain't
get
get no
there
money.
Hey, they probably poisoned me and Will down there.
I'm definitely not eating it.
All right, we got a caller. All right, caller, who we got?
This is David.
Hey, David. You had a great game. Tell us all about it, David.
I did? Okay.
Well, Kevin's not
It
here,
hasn't
so
been
I had
too
to
many-
say something.
When you've got East Lincoln, there haven't been too many close games, and last night was not much of an exception. They came out and took care of business early and often, got a nice lead, and they did well considering the weather conditions. It was not too bad in the first half, and the second half there was kind of a steady rain, but it wasn't a heavy rain, so not much passing. The teams only threw about 7 passes total. And They just ran the ball a lot, which is fine with Tuscola, but they just didn't get very far with it.
Well, David, I think 35-7 is a great game. I wouldn't complain about that myself if I was East Lincoln.
Well, no, if you're East Lincoln, as a broadcaster, you're always hoping for that, 42-41 triple overtime game. Those are great.
Well, Bunker Hill and the Community School of Davidson had a 41-40. That was pretty exciting.
That's the one I was thinking of. That must have been a great one to be broadcasting or watching. I don't know if the coaches, how much gray hair they have after that game, but
Well, maybe you can talk Kevin into doing the Bunker Hill Maiden game next week. That should be exciting.
it should be. Another rematch. Maiden's been taking care of rematches in the playoffs. They had a rematch against West Lincoln last year and beat them handily. So we'll have to see how they do with the rematch with Bunker Hill in the third round next week.
Okay.
Well, they're up 40-13 right now, David, and I'll give
Correct.
and I'll update Dennis on his geography lesson. Neither Maiden or Bunker Hill is in Lincoln County, Dennis. So they're not going to be on our Lincoln County game of the week.
Never mind. I'm not going to say anything.
But it's,
Hey, what seed?
it's
What
close,
seed is East
but
Lincoln?
not quite.
Yeah, East
yeah,
is
we'll-
4 seed, right?
East
Lincoln in Ledford next week. That should be hopefully that should be a good game, I would think. So
Have you heard any
we'll
talk?
see.
Have you heard any talk, David, on the Ledford Panthers?
No, I haven't. I hadn't started looking at that
Okay.
yet.
Well, with Lincoln falling big time at Monroe, East Lincoln's the only show left in town. Mason Avery did end up the all-time leading rusher in Lincoln County, passing Chaz Surratt.
Yeah, I mean, he just had a fantastic season. I think he's still leading the state, even though he didn't play this week. He's so far ahead of everybody. So it's a fabulous season, and why he's not in the Shrine Bowl is you just got to wonder what's going on there.
Well, we've talked a little bit about maybe potentially playing in the future. Do you know if he's gotten any college offers? Somebody said, "Oh, it's just small schools." Somebody needs to take a look at
An
him.
offer is an offer. Ain't no small schools or
Right.
big schools. An offer is an offer wherever you get it at.
Well, sometimes those small schools you can get a better deal if you're not getting sometimes other sports, you start dealing with partials and that sort of thing, and the small schools tend to be a little better. Now you get football, that tends to be a little bit different. You either get usually a full or not. So I've heard, there's a couple things but I haven't heard specific schools, either from anybody in the press box at West Lincoln or talking to the coaches. They haven't really divulged that.
Well, we wish him luck, and hopefully he'll be able to go on and use his talents, because he is a very talented individual at whatever level you want to call it. He was very, very talented for West Lincoln and was a main feature in their game. And so somebody's going to look at all those yards that he gained, and they're going to say, you know, we could use a little of that too. Now, who that'll be, I don't have a clue. It could be, like Will says, any offer is a good offer. But, you know, it could be a smaller school. It could be a medium school. It could be a big school. I don't know who's looking at him. But, you know, UNC Charlotte might want to think about something like that, because here's a player within the area, and they certainly need some players down there.
I think they're going to need a new coach here, too.
Yeah.
I thought they fired the coach already.
They did.
They fired him.
They're going to have to go through that process. I don't know if they'll take the interim tag off the current one they're using, or if they'll do a full search.
Well, David, I guess everybody, this is, you know, looking ahead. Everyone doesn't, you know, want to plan to look ahead. Kings Mountain hosts West Charlotte next week. East Lincoln hosts Ledford, but of course in our area, everyone has been talking the whole year about East Lincoln and Kings Mountain matchup, and dying to see that. We might get a chance here in 2 weeks, and if we do, we'll have we'll welcome you to the Kings Mountain broadcast. Matt and Danny had that coverage tonight, but looking forward to that, and hopefully we'll be pulling for both these teams next week with a big win, and then in 2 weeks we'll have East Lincoln and the Mountaineers for a big, huge matchup here on KTC.
That could be a really interesting game just to see how that turns out. I mean, Kings Mountain's just been steamrolling people here. East Lincoln's been getting the job done quite handily, so see how that matches up could be very interesting.
All right, David. Well, thanks for giving us a call, and have a good weekend, and staying up late for us. Give us a call tonight, bro.
No problem.
All right,
Glad
Dave,
to do it.
swing good Monday. All right, David Potter from Hogwarts just gave us a call. They talk about East Lincoln. They're 35-7 winners last night. So they've got Ledford next week. Let me put something real quick in perspective on the Mason Avery rushing yardage. He broke Chaz's record. Chaz was the quarterback. Chaz also has the passing record in Lincoln County. So when you put that into perspective, yes, you broke the rushing record. The other guy also has the passing record too. And also, you know where Chaz is on receiving? Second. He could have been all three if he would have played. They were talking about letting him play receiver the last 3 games.
Is he still with the New York Jets?
Trying to break it.
He is.
Practice squad, I think.
He's active squad now.
Did he get active this week?
He's number 41.
Okay, I know I checked it last week or so, and he
wish
wasn't
him
active.
well, and watch if anybody watches the Jets, look for number 41.
Number 41.
Yep. All right. Well, let's take a quick break. We're going to talk to Matt Chapman here in just a few minutes on the post-game show brought to you by Full Throttle Power Sports of Lowell. They've got all kinds of
Full Throttle
everything over there: motorcycles, jet skis, 4-wheelers, ATVs.
You reckon they got them razors over there? They got them razors over there at them Full Throttle.
You mean like a scooter?
No, the razor thing. You jump in there.
Use a little
the
razor
side
right there.
No,
You need a sidecar for your motorcycle, like Indiana Jones. A razor. I don't know if they sell them. We'll look up see what they do sell.
Oh my Lord.
We'll ask like the one thing they might not sell while we're talking about them. Good job.
Somebody on a motorcycle?
I don't know. What is he? Yeah, we'll talk about it in a minute. We'll be back in a few minutes. Full Throttle Power Sports Post.
Shut up, Kevin.
Smiles are the specialty at Family Dentistry in Shelby. Dr. Stroud, Wilson, Thompson, and McMurray invite you in for all of your dental needs, from preventive care to cosmetic dentistry, from crowns and bridges to root canals and implants. For your appointment, call 704-482-3281 or visit the website at shelbydentist.net. Yes, smiles are the specialty at Family Dentistry in Shelby, located at 416 West Warren Street. Kids love them. Hey, and you will too.
It's time to power up. Power up with Skag Power Equipment powered by Vanguard from Elliott Supply Company in Polkville. The Vanguard is now available on the Skag Tiger Cat and the Skag Patriot models. See the Skag Tiger Cat 52-inch mower with Vanguard 810cc 28 horsepower EFI engine, or the Skag Patriot, available in 52 and 61-inch cuts with the Vanguard 810cc 26 horsepower engines. Power up with the Skag from Elliott Supply Company, Highway 182 in Polkville, online at ElliottSupplyInc.com.
Here's good news from Medical Center Pharmacy in Cherryville and the Boston Pharmacy in Boston. Both locations now have flu shots available. Come get yours today so you'll feel good all winter long. For details, call Medical Center Pharmacy in Cherryville at 704-435-3263 or the Boston Pharmacy in Boston at 704-538-3021. Medical Center Pharmacy, 607 East Academy Street in Cherryville, and the Boston Pharmacy, Highway 18 North in Boston.
Nobody does ribs like Fats Cafe in Shelby. If you love ribs, you'll love Fats Cafe in Shelby. Right now, get 1 pound of ribs and a baked potato for just $9.99. Offer good only on orders to go. But come on in for their Thursday all-you-can-eat in-house ribs for just $14.99. That's right, all-you-can-eat ribs for $14.99. Each and every Thursday at your Shelby Fats Cafe, 1235 East Dixon Boulevard in Shelby.
Flooring America in Kings Mountain and Carver One Flooring Home in Gastonia have some great news. New LVP flooring that's waterproof. Hey, and it's also pet-proof. And even kid-proof. But best of all, it's only $319 a square foot. That's right, LVP waterproof flooring for $319 a square foot from Flooring America, 602 Slater Street in Kings Mountain, and Carpet One Flooring Home, 2757 East Ozark Avenue, Gastonia.
The foot doctors of choice for many in this area are Doctors Jeff Mooney and Ron Maskarnik at Foothills Podiatry. In fact, people come to Foothills Podiatry from miles around for gentle but state-of-the-art foot care. Our staff truly cares about your needs. You can expect top-notch medical and surgical care from a staff dedicated to quality service. Whether a repeat patient or a new one, come see us soon at Foothills Podiatry, 707 North Morgan Street in Shelby.
Foothills Podiatry is proud to welcome Dr. Gretchen Lawrence to their practice.
If you're ready to make the great escape, do it with the #1 brand on the water. Yamaha Wave Runners are the most premium personal watercraft on the market, with industry-first features and exciting new products like the all-new 2021 BX Series with audio packages, the much-anticipated Superjet, and the new race-ready GP Series. This is Wave Runner country. See one today at Full Throttle Power Sports, located at 100 Indian Walk off I-85 in Laurel.
And we're back on the Full Throttle Power Sports post-game show with Kevin and the gang.
Yeah.
Are we part of the gang?
Kevin in the gang?
Are we the blood or the Crips?
Y'all didn't know y'all joined, did you?
I lost my name.
Y'all didn't know y'all
Thank
joined,
you,
did you?
JP.
You're
Now,
welcome.
one week you forget my name altogether, that guy, and then we the
I
gang
remembered
now.
it before we went on the air.
To defend JP, every show we do, it's me and the gang, and I in the gang.
Well, should I say Will and his crew?
However, well, whatever, JP. All right,
Dennis and his deacons?
Yes, we'll do that. All right.
Well, Will's the deacon in
So
the
Full
crowd.
Throttle Power Sports, 704-833-1270 in Lowell. They got side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, watercrafts, trailers, slingshots, and other more motorcycles. That should be Matt Chapman. He did the Kings Mountain game tonight. Mountaineers win 42-0. And is that Matt?
Pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
Hey, Matt. Is it you?
That's me.
All right, Matt. We got you now. I never know when JP says.
Well, it
pretty
shows
sure.
up as Megan on the caller ID, so I don't know.
It's not Megan.
It's not.
She pays the phone bill.
She pays the phone bill, JP.
Oh, I thought that was your other name, Matt.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
You've been hanging out with Caitlin.
Moving right along.
Don't start.
Well, Matt, 42-0. You guys get to see a big time 3A football team tonight, 1A for your first time this year. Now, Next week, you and Danny will be doing the Mountaineers again with West Charlotte coming to town. But let's talk about this Smoky Mountain Mustang.
Good.
Talked a little bit for Danny before the game. It's looking at the stats and stuff. It's kind of a one-man show with their quarterback. And when I saw that, I told Danny, I said, this might be a shutout or get ugly early because Kings Mountain defense this year has just been outstanding, and one man's not going to go run around those guys. But talk a little bit about tonight, this shutout on the defensive side of the ball, first of all, for Kings Mountain.
Yeah, that Smoky Mountain quarterback that you're talking about, Jed West, last week in their win at Central Davidson, he accounted for almost 500 yards of total offense and 5 touchdowns just by himself. So he's a player, but he was definitely appeared to be the focal point of the Kings Mountain defense this week, and they zeroed in on him, and it was a long night. He had really no time to throw at all. He took a couple big shots back there, just trying to hold the ball as long as he could and let the play develop. He got clobbered a couple of times. So credit to him for hanging in there and continuing to drop back and let it fly. But I'd say he probably threw it about 20 times or so, and I think only ended up with maybe 5 or 6 completions. And most of that was from the pass rush, just being in his face all night long. I think he was sacked maybe 4 or 5 times, and that's without number 9. What is it? Winslow? Is that his last name? Or Wilson?
If it's Kings Mountain, it's probably Wilson. I'll look it up real quick while you're talking about it, Matt.
Yeah, their best defensive lineman came into the game with like 21 sacks on the season or something. He didn't even play tonight. I talked to a couple of the guys up in the press box. They said nothing serious, probably more of a precautionary thing. They said he got in maybe 1 or 2 plays, and he was out there on the sideline all night with his pads on. So he looked like he was ready, but they held him out and definitely didn't need him. A.J. Richardson up there on the line, he was dominant. Got it done, probably 1 or 2 sacks himself. He was in the backfield all night long. Even got some time at fullback on offense, had a rushing touchdown. He blocked a punt in the first quarter. He really did it all. He was impressive. And so even not at full strength, that defense was outstanding. 3 interceptions in the first half. Zay Jones had 2 of them, and
Lloyd had the other one, didn't he?
Go ahead.
He's just saying Lloyd had the other one.
Yeah, I was listening
Lloyd
to your broadcast, and it rang a bell with me because Lloyd's father, Greg, who's the coach of Kings Mountain, played at Crest, and he held the record over there for many years. He had 5 touchdowns in his senior season. And so I thought, well, that's a chip off the old block, because I think that was his 3rd interception of the year or of the playoffs, even since it started.
Yeah, third of the playoffs. Had 2 last week, brought 1 back for a touchdown, and then had the one tonight where it looked like Smoky Mountain was driving, about to tie it up 7-7 in the first quarter. They had it inside the 10, and then he stepped in and intercepted that pass. And then they picked one off the next drive, and then picked one off on the last play of the first half. So that defense was as advertised, and like I said, that's even without probably their best player.
Yeah. Well, I thought that series where they were down there within the 10 and goal to go, and the interception I thought just broke their back.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, they were fighting an uphill battle, regardless. But if they could have gotten a little momentum from that touchdown there, you never know. And it really was all Kings Mountain after that. The route was on pretty much from that moment forward.
Yeah, and they also put Lowen in at tight end. He played a little tight end. I was watching the game on YouTube.
Yeah, they targeted him once or twice in the passing game. I believe he caught one. So he did get some time on offense as well. Got a couple looks.
Well, the amazing thing about this, I don't know if you know much about this kid, but he was in various serious health problems this summer, and they didn't know if he was going to basically live or not. And he was able to recover and come back from that, and being able to even participate, much less play at the level he's playing, is a miracle, if you will.
Right, and he also remember, if you remember too, when AJ blocked that punt, he didn't want to recover the punt.
Yeah,
because I was watching on YouTube, and getting back to 15, what they done, they put 15 down as a defensive lineman, and those guys didn't have a chance blocking him.
No,
15 was
15's. He's a man.
He's playing like my guy from Dallas.
Jeez, Almighty, he's a beast.
He's a guy. Then they put him in in the Wildcat. It's too much beef. You can't stop him.
Can't stop him.
Can't stop him.
Yeah, he was the star of the show tonight for sure. I mean, mentioned he blocked the punt, scored a touchdown, lined him up at fullback, and he was the lead blocker on another touchdown later in the game. He did it all. He stole the show for sure.
Flip your button.
Turn myself back on. Matt, you got West Charlotte next week. They blew up High-Bright. Now, looking at West Charlotte's schedule here, 7-5 on the season. Blowing out High-Brighton is not much. Steve, y'all blew them out, didn't you? Didn't y'all blow that?
Yeah, we had to run the clock on them.
Yeah, I thought so. I think they had East Lincoln's already blown them out, High-Brighton. So I don't know what you're measuring on that. So West Charlotte comes in. They beat West Meck 7-0. Ashbrook or West Meck beat Ashbrook 14-9. So in that game, or the other way around. So just by measuring that, you would think Kings Mountain would have the advantage in this game, and we may see an East Lincoln Mountaineers matchup. Now, you saw East last week, Matt? Thursday?
I was actually. I was up there last night actually.
So back
for
to back
game.
So back-to-back nights, you saw these two teams. How would you assess the matchup between them?
If they do end up playing here in a couple weeks, I would expect really a defensive slugfest, a low-scoring game, and really be excited to watch them in the trenches. I think it'd be a war, on both lines, on both sides of the ball. Both teams, really talented up front, a lot of big bodies. We mentioned Richardson for Kings Mountain. East Lincoln, Josh Gilbert in the middle of that defense, Ben Cutter, the linebacker. I think it'll be a very physical ball game, and I wouldn't expect a lot of points. Definitely two talented offenses as well, but just two defenses that seem to be playing on another level with a lot of probably college talent for both teams on that side of the ball.
Well, looking at the just the point averages, Matt, East Lincoln has given up 60 points in 12 games, so all of 5 points a game there. And then Kings Mountain does give up 131 in 12, so they've give up 11 points a game. So it'll be 11-5 next week, according to you, right?
Something like that.
All right, Matt. Well, you be careful going on home, and thank you for coming up to Kings Mountain tonight. We're showing some of the highlights last night. Here's number 15 with a big sack. A.J. Richardson was his name that you guys were mentioning.
All the offers he's getting, it well deserved. But somebody from State, Carolina, up there in Winston-Salem, Wake Forest,
yeah,
or Duke, somebody need to be. This kid, he's D1 caliber.
Before I jump off of here, I heard you guys talking with David a little bit about Mason Avery and where he might be getting some looks from. When I was up there at West Lincoln to do the Newton Conover game about a month ago, I was looking into that, and I saw a few days before that game, I think he had gotten an offer from Davidson. So I know that's at least one concrete offer that he's got. I'm not sure on any others that
if
he's
he's
had
getting an
come
offer
in.
from Davidson, he's not just knocking it out on the field. He's knocking it out in the classroom.
And it seems like I remember a running back from Crest last year who went to Davidson, who won last night.
Huh. Hey,
yeah, so just wanted to mention that.
Hey, Matt.
Yep.
This is Will. It's good to hear from you. I miss our Wednesday show, doing the Wednesday show with you. It's really good to hear from you, buddy, and glad to hear that everything's working out well with you and everything.
Yes, sir. It's been too long. It's good to have you back on the post-game show. It's definitely been way too long. I missed those Wednesdays, the Best in Sports as well, man. It was a good time.
All right, Matt. Well, you go home and take care of that beautiful little girl you got there tonight. Get you some sleep, brother.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good night.
All right, thank you, Matt Chapman there. If we get the Kings Mountain Band welcoming the Mountaineers onto the field.
Hey, that I don't understand.
Dude, we get wet.
That's Kings Mountain. You ain't been this good in forever. Y'all got to do better. Jeez, got to do better.
They need to hire that guy from the Burns game that does the pyrotechnics over there.
Oh my Lord!
They contracted pyrotechnics. Give them a call. They sponsored the broadcast from the other night, so we will do.
Mr. Brinkley.
Yeah, we
if you're listening,
no, that was not who sponsored it at all. It was Mr. Ledford who sponsored the broadcast up at Burns. I want to thank them for the contracted pyrotechnics. Then they put on a good show and there on the entrance and everything too. All right, guys. While you were watching, for the folks on the radio, we were playing some highlights there from Kings Mountain. We're going to talk to one of the Chase announcers here in just a few minutes, either Paul or Jonathan, and when they call. Let's see if I got any other. We got some highlights from Crest the other night. How about you want to watch some of those for a minute?
Yeah, you're going to have to call them out because I forget we
please,
got radio on.
Please
as
don't
well.
show no Shelby.
Please don't show no Shelby. I don't have the highlights cut yet, Will. I mean, Steve, but we can scroll back to them. Let's go back. Let's see.
Just forget you got them.
Just forget we got the Shelby highlights. Steve says.
They had highlights.
Well, this is Crest going up 7-0. I guess do what? Okay.
I got confronted.
Touchdown for the Chargers. Coming right at us. Hannah Roop was our videographer last night. I want to thank Hannah when they rode all the way up to Oak Grove here, and this is coming into our house. She started backing up. She knows she could go up to that black line right there and take the video.
Speaking of Roop, we
Hannah.
have Robbie on.
Okay, Rob's call. All right, we got Rob Roop on. Let's see. I'll have to send another text to them. Let's see. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Hey, Rob, we listened to the broadcast last night. Who was that guy you had working with you last night?
It was RJ's first time trying to do a little bit on the air. It was kind of a tough situation. I wish they'd realize when they build these schools, I wish they'd check and see what kind of cell signal and stuff they're getting out of there, what kind of Wi-Fi connections we have, because it gave us all kind of trouble. But we, got the job done, passing the phone back and forth, just trying to make sure we got a little bit of the action back here to Cleveland County.
Well, we appreciate your efforts above and beyond the call. Calvin was hopping around trying to get you on the air, so at least we could hear the game, if not the pregame show.
Yeah, exactly right. But hey, it's great win for the Chargers, and once again, guys, I mean that Oak Grove team they had a solid football team, but once you just saw a prime example, and I'm just a firm believer in this part of the season. When you start digging into a team's schedule, looking at the strength of schedule, it just shows itself, and you saw that last night. You had this Oak Grove team. They played 2 teams all year with a winning record. They played 6 teams that made the playoffs. Only one of those teams was left standing after the first round. Crest, on the other hand, played 9 teams that made the playoffs after the first round. I believe 6 of those teams were still playing. So, just speaks to the competition. And you could tell late in that game, some of those Oak Grove kids were tired of getting hit. And once Crest got onto the backside of their defense, they were not going to catch Crest.
Well, I think Coach made a comment about this is where all that summer conditioning that you guys didn't like paid off.
Exactly right. They had a thing called the Sandman experience that they did all summer, and Crest has got about a 40-yard trench full of sand, and those kids are running in it every day, Dennis. And like you said, when you're doing that and it's 95 degrees outside and humid, and you're like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And Coach said in the summertime, he said, but it's going to feel really good when we get late in the season and we're still going wide open and those other teams start to drag. And I think you saw a little bit of that last night with the Chargers.
Oh, we were just talking a while ago with one of the announcers who called in, and I think it was off the air, but I said there was a guy that scored for Crest last night I'd never heard of. I didn't even know he's on the team. These young kids are stepping up and playing. They're no longer freshmen, September freshmen now. They're seasoned veterans. They've got a year or possibly 2 years under their belt. But what does that portray for the future of the Chargers? Because now the kids are starting to buy into this system and the new coach. And that what looked like that old running on the beach thing back in July, and they're going back tonight and saying, I'm sure glad we did that. We're going to do even more next year.
And Dennis, you make a great point, because just like I said last night, a prime example, Aiden Carson got to start, started the game at running back. He's kind of been that guy, but in the second quarter, Chris brings in Anton Lewis, and actually another sophomore running back had a great season with that JV squad. Got the scoring started for Crest. Anton actually ended up having 2 touchdowns last night for the Chargers. I think he rushed for about 75 yards. And then Aiden Carson went for about 120 and another touchdown. So Crest got about 200 yards rushing last night out of the running back tandem. And if Crest can get that with that passing game, it makes it that much more tougher to slow them down. And as you said, on the defensive side of the ball, some of those JV kids have got caught up. They have now given Crest a little bit of a rotation that they can use on that defensive line. Mm-hmm. I think that was happening early in the year. They just didn't have that depth. They started to lay on Crest a little bit late in games. But now you're seeing guys rotate in and out, and that's allowing guys like Dede Pettis, who is able to keep that motor wide open all the game. It has really helped the Chargers, some of those young kids stepping up and playing well from that JV squad.
Well, now, early in the year, we know that the Green kid was catching a lot of passes and scoring a lot of touchdowns. But then when they started playing with 2 or 3 people covering him, it's opened up some of those other receivers, and they're just as dangerous as he is. But I understand last night they threw into a crowd. He was in the crowd, and he just went up and got it, which is the sign of a great player.
The funny thing for me with that, he had one. There was one pass, and Vari knew he should have had it. Hit him in the hands. Didn't come down with it. And so the student section there at Oak Grove's giving him a fit. They're chanting overrated and all this kind of stuff. And we was in the break. I looked at RJ and I said, you can guarantee there's going to be a spectacular play coming. And it wasn't long, like you said, but he was covered in defenders. Husky threw it up there where he could get it, and Green went up and got the football. And then the Crest fans started chanting overrated on the other side after Vari made that catch. So, it's just some good old-fashioned, going back and forth between the two fan bases. And like you said, it's really given a chance for Malachi Addison, A.J. Adams, Tajay Borders, those guys to really step up and have opportunities, because you've got to put 2 guys on Green.
Well,
but that takes him off of Green now. That those other guys have stepped up. Now you got to play him honest, and nobody's going to beat him playing him honest.
Well, Robbie,
there's not a defensive core out there that can play him straight up and down. You don't have a corner that can check him straight up. There's not even in Cleveland County is there a lockdown corner that can play Green straight up.
I thought we had one, but our corner made it like he was All-American.
Well, Robbie, I've got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
It's a replay down at Lineberger Stadium. You know how that goes. When you get off the bus, you're behind. Will and I say 14. Kevin says 7. But we played them already. They were able to defeat the Chargers. What's changed on both teams, and what do you see coming next week in the showdown at Lineberger?
Well, Dennis, I think there's no doubt both these teams have gotten better. I mean, we've got 2 great football teams coming into this game. Good grief, with what South Point did to Dudley last night. I mean, just went out there and steamrolled them. I was able to watch some of the film of that game, and I got to get on Dudley a little bit. They kind of thought the swagger was going to carry them through, and I think you saw some coaching decisions in that game where they just weren't going to change come heck or high water, and high water showed up without the rain. and with what the Red Raiders did, it was very impressive. I am interested to see what kind of changes Chris makes defensively going into this game. I think they realize that maybe the defensive play column needs to change a little bit. But the thing I'm most excited about, Dennis, you remember in that first game, Chris, who loves to pass the football, they had Huskies trying to throw in 50-mile-per-hour hurricane wind.
Yep.
And it was a mess. and he had balls selling on him, ones he thought he was on the money with or being underthrown when he's throwing into that wind. So I'm excited to see because Dudley did throw the football well last night on South Point. They just weren't able to slow him down. So I'm excited to see this Crest passing game, hopefully with some better weather. But you start looking at some of the prognostications down the road. I've seen a couple places talking about some freezing rain and sleet on Friday. So who knows what kind of stuff we're going to see in Belmont.
Well, Robbie, the thing of it is South Point was able to pull that game out because they had at that time, superior running game because they're South Point and they play the South Point way. But now, depending on the weather conditions, Crest can come back with a much improved passing game because of the factors we talked about. But they also have a much improved running game.
They do.
Yeah,
so if it's bad weather, like you may see next weekend, Crest is more able to hold their own with their running game now. We've got, multiple people to attack South Point with.
But they got to stop the red bone.
Oh.
They got but
you got to stop the fullback.
Listen, and I know y'all down here, we talked about this red bone thing for ever since the beginning of the season. And I'm sticking with you got to go to a 50 base defense. And that shuts that red bone down. It's assignment football. Everybody put a hat on a hat. You know who you're supposed to tackle. You got the quarterback.
You have to tackle the fullback on every single play.
Oh no, you got the quarterback every play. You got the fullback every play. You got to attack
and they're not going to beat you passing the ball.
They're not going to beat you passing the ball. They're not going to beat Crest passing the ball.
And guys, and that's where Dudley's biggest mistake was last night. They completely forgot somebody had to stop the quarterback. And that kid had a great game last night against Dudley. So again, like you said, Chris, you got to play disciplined football. That's how you beat them. You can't get caught staring into the backfield. You got to know what your assignment is and able to really get after it. Another stat from last night, that's the most points Oak Grove has given up this year. That was the fewest points they had scored this year. But one of my favorite stats, Dennis, going into that game last night, now it's changed a little bit because Oak Grove was able to score in the second half. But going into that game last night, Crest had outscored their opponents 150-0 in the second half of their last 5 games.
Well, Robbie,
and again, I think that speaks. We talk about that conditioning program. That's what that speaks to.
I gave you credit for that, but I have to admit I stole that stat from you and used it last night.
That's all right.
I stole a whole bunch of others, but we didn't have time for me to give them all because you had really broken that the two teams down. I'm impressed. Shoot that to me this year. You can put it directly to me if you want to, and I'll give you credit for it.
I tell you what,
we will definitely be digging into some stats as we get ready for this week and looking at both these teams and where they're at now and how they got here. And I tell you guys, this is just a fun part of the season. It was fun getting to research and watch a couple new teams when I got to watch Statesville and Oak Grove this week. But it's going to be pretty sweet watching those Red Raiders again and getting ready for another matchup next Friday night.
We were just watching the penalty on the Crest receiver
that's green,
who ran into the end zone with the touchdown and did his arms, and they threw the unsportsmanlike penalty on him. Come on, guys.
Yeah. Coach Sosaby had a long discussion with the official about that, and then there was one play towards the end where it was actually Carson, the Oak Grove defender, suplexed him on the tackle, and even Oak Grove's coach come and had the young man apologize, and he even said, they should have flagged us on there for some unnecessary roughness. And it started, like I said, started getting a little heated there late in the game, but you saw both coaches pull their teams together, talk to them, and realize, there's better things down the road. You look at this Oak Grove program, School Built 2017, their coach is a great coach, so some good things are going to happen for that program, but Chris moves on, and to me, at this point, as young as this football team is, Dennis, I just feel like they're playing with house money now.
Yeah,
and everything they get from here on out is the icing on top of the cake for this young team to continue to grow.
And they will come prepared this summer to do those workouts in the sand pit. They'll be prepared to go in the weight room, and they will physically grow just because of maturity. And those linemen will.
And Sosabe could come to them and say, look, but here's what I told you guys last summer. Now you've experienced it. And I think you see now those kids, there'll be real, true buy-in from those kids when they saw, hey, that hard work did pay off for us. And there's a really bright future for the Crest program.
Well, I know, Robbie. I know where I'm gonna be at next week, Robbie Root, because my pastor.
I'll tell you what, it's gonna be fun.
My pastor's a diehard Crest fan, and I already told him today if he wanted to go see the Chargers play next week, that I would be glad to take him down there. So, I know where I'm gonna be at next week. I'm gonna be in Lineberger Stadium, and we'll be cheering for the Crest Chargers.
We'll get you some Crest gear to wear.
Hey, before I let you go, guys, I just want to give a shout out. Hey, we had to see the Golden Lions fall last night. We knew one Cleveland County team was going to be done with their season, but a shout out to the Burns Bulldogs. Man, they look like the best team in 2A right now, and the Kings Mountain Mountaineers are playing like the best team in 3A. And we continue to be a great season for us here in Cleveland County, and hopefully we get 3 more victories after next Friday. We'll see what happens.
All right, Robbie.
Hey, Robbie.
All right, talk to you later, guys.
Hey, Robbie. Before you go, I just want to shout out my guy RJ for doing his first whole game last week. Tell the kid, keep his head up there. I like that. I like to see the young fellas get in early.
Well, he asked me. He said, "Daddy, I asked you a question." I said, "What?" When we'd go into break, he said, "You learn how to do all that in school?" I said, "Son," because I've been doing this stuff since I was 18 years old. You just keep doing it year after year, and keep talking about the things you talk about."
Well, Robbie was in my class, as were you, Will, but you guys learned all this on your own. And Tom Cinefani, I'll throw him in too. So.
Hey, that's right. Toss us all in there, Dennis. Hey, look, Dennis, you can talk with the best of them, so don't. There's a little impact there as well.
So that's where y'all learn to talk from him.
Well, you guys
he was doing more talking than he was teaching. Okay, Robbie. Okay, Robbie. Thank you, Robbie.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Thank you, Robbie. I appreciate that.
Next.
Gave Steve some ammo there. We're going to talk to Jonathan Bland here in just a few minutes about these Chase Trojans and the ride they're making right now. So the South Point Dudley game, I was talking to someone earlier here at one of these games. Well, they gave up 74 last night, and Will and Dennis, you guys have, and Steve as well, have had to deal with this offense throughout the years, and it's not something that if you haven't seen it, you just can't walk in and defend.
You can't look at it on. You can't look at it on tape. And go.
We've seen it and we hate it.
So you guys, you guys see it pretty much almost every year, and you kind of know what's going on. But I was the reason I knew that Dudley, or I thought that Dudley was not going to win this game, and I'm I'm not trying to take this young man down at all. But one of their linebackers was posting on Twitter this week. And, he's putting his stats and his highlights. He wasn't talking junk or anything. And he was talking about playing South Point. I had like 15 tackles in the last game. We got South Point this week. And I just noticed Will and Steve, I looked at his bio and it said sophomore. And I said, son, I don't think you're ready for South Point. And then they got 74 points later. I mean, I sit there and I told somebody was walking down the hall. I said, come look at this. I said, they got a sophomore at linebacker. They're going to get killed. Yeah. I don't care how good. I don't care if that's Ray Lewis sitting there.
He ain't never seen that.
If you've not practiced to play,
even though they played Dudley last year.
Right. So you guys, someone's asked me if Crest can beat South Point. I said, maybe. I don't know. I said, if it was closer last game, I would say, yeah, absolutely. Because once you see it the next time, you can practice it and be ready for it better. But that team like that hadn't seen it or hadn't dealt with it. It seems like every team South Point plays that's not one of our teams, they do this to them.
Those
Crest, Shelby, and these other teams.
Those young Crest kids last time had never seen that either.
They was on JV.
Yeah,
they never seen. This is going to be the key right here too.
Well,
they might put 74 again.
No, they won't put. I can make a bold prediction on next week game. I can promise you one thing that will not happen against Crest. I don't care if they do come out in that 3-3. They would not allow 74 points to go on the board. You're not going to run 74 points on Crest.
Will, you know what this reminds me of? The young linebacker he's talking about You remember a few years back when Havelock had won two
Singing
or three
4 more for
state
4.
championships? They made a video.
1 more for 4.
Yeah, they were mocking Crest and this, that, and the other. And it was sort of like, you ain't never played us. And South Point can be the same thing. You ain't never played us.
And another thing too, Dennis. What's going to be the key is how well Crest Scout team
can run that bone.
Can run the wishbone.
Yeah.
Because even in Shelby, if our scout team don't give us a good look, these kids are very, very important to your program, and they have to buy into this. The scout team is just as much important as your starters, because if these scout guys don't run the red bone the way it's supposed to be run, or try the best the way they can imitate it to get a Chargers a look, and and two, Crest's gonna have to back them the defensive lineman off the ball a little bit, concede 2 yards, because South Point's gonna cut you off the line. They just cut you, and they're gonna cut you
and then run over you.
Yeah, conceive the 2 yards, but keep them from getting the 7 and 8.
Well, I'm curious to. I like hearing you bring that up, because I've had a question about, maybe Will, you can answer this too, as far as game planning them. The teams that I've witnessed give them trouble over the years is either whatever he's at, nose tackle, whatever over the guard, somebody's got to get penetration to aggravate them. But you're saying y'all like to have the guys back a little bit so they don't cut you.
Right.
So what is your guys' strategy as far? Because again, me I don't know nothing about the line play, and so what I'm saying right now is just totally asking questions. But for what I've seen is, I remember Burns when they beat him. If you remember, was it Petty? Big fella up front. He was every play he was blowing the lineup and making them move to the next hole. So I was just wondering how y'all like to how do y'all like to defend that? Now, real quick, keep that in mind because we got a phone call.
Okay.
Okay. What you can do is you can check your nose.
Yeah.
And put him in the A, let him attack the A gap.
Is the key.
He's the key. He's going to have to either attack the A gap or he's going to attack the center.
Okay.
So
but the rest of the guys hang back to fill the gap.
Okay.
And let's give a linebackers a hole to get into to tackle a fullback.
Okay. I will get to that in just a minute. Let's talk Chase real quick. Jonathan Bland's on the line.
Okay.
And 12-0 season so far, Jonathan. You've given up 140 points in 12 games. Obviously, for weeks everybody's talking about, you don't have McCombs. It don't matter right now. But this week, your travel to Reidsville, and for a rematch of last year. And I know everybody's excited up on the farm. They're partying this week. Jonathan, 12-0 on the season. Congratulations to the Trojans. They've moved up to 4 in our poll right now. I think maybe 5 after tonight. But we got Jonathan Bland on the phone. Talk a little bit first of all, Jonathan, about last night's victory, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Reidsville in a minute. So, how did Chase secure victory over this Robinson Bulldogs team?
Listen, I hate to bust up the conversation. It's such good. I was listening to the conversation going on, so I hate to even be the miscommunication of what was going on there. But hey, the Chase Trojans. Last night they played great ball against Concord Robinson. They came out. They really did a good job of dominating both lines of scrimmage on the offensive and defensive lines there. And I was really impressed. I wasn't sure they was going to be able to do that there with Hobbs there for Concord Robinson. Some of the other big defensive linemen that Concord Robinson has there. But Chase really controlled the line of scrimmage. And Jalen Rudisil there for Chase, the quarterback there, unofficially, by Paul Foster's stats, had about 340 yards rushing.
Shoo. So
what we saw there was Concord Robinson basically packing the lineup with 6 or 7 individuals there on the defensive line there. When Grudis was able to get to the second level there was nowhere there to stop him. He was just dominant all night long. Chase played good defense there. You mentioned their stats throughout the year, 12-0 right now, the best season Chase had in the history of that school there, and they're playing really good football right now, and they don't make mistakes. Robinson made the most penalties last night. They made the most turnovers last night, and Chase made them pay and set up a big matchup with Reidsville coming up.
Well, looking at this, again, we was talking injury with McCombs. You guys got 2 quarterbacks, too, with McSwain and Rudisil. Has Rudisil been taking over most of the duties so far in the last few weeks, or how are they handling that right now?
With the weather, last night with the weather, Riddlesville took most of the snaps. They did not want to risk the quarterback to running back exchange there, so he kept the ball most of the night. They did not. They kind of showed that they want to give the ball to Brendan Austin there. They kind of faked that, let Richardson kind of handle the ball mostly himself there, and he made Robinson pay, and he was a difference maker last night. You could see he was the most electric player on the football field, and that's what happened there. He looked like Lamar Jackson last night for Chase. So.
Well, I'm going to read some of these numbers for you out loud, Jonathan. 42, 57, 65, 50, 55, 35, 42, 48, 68, 49, 74, and 35. 35 is the least amount of points the Trojans have scored in a ball game this year, guys. 35 is the least amount of points they've got. Now, they go to Reidsville next week. They won tonight 51-25 over Providence Grove. And Jonathan, you guys this is the rematch from last year. Reidsville won 56-24 last year. So what's the talk? I know everyone, when the brackets come out, this was kind of what everyone was looking forward to. So what's been the talk up on the farm in Rutherford County about Reidsville?
Well, honestly, I think it's what everybody expected. You look at those brackets right there. They met last year in the second round. Case played them tough for a couple quarters last year and lost that game. Especially in the second half, Reidsville kind of run away with it. But, if you're going to go through the 2A state championship, you're going to have to face Reidsville, the number one seed in the state right now in the Western region. And I think Chase is going to be ready. I think they won that matchup, and I think they match up well with them. We'll see what happens next Friday night. But, everything down here seems positive. I think Chase is going to match up well with the Rams, and I think they're expecting a big battle next week.
Well, even last year we're sitting there talking. I mean, they scored 24, so if you scored 35 this year, you still scored on Reidsville last year. The only problem was you give up 50. So the defense has been
and that's
doing
going to be the
pretty
thing.
well.
Can the Chase defense stop the Reidsville Rams from scoring? And I think that's going to be the question mark next week. I think it'll be a high scoring affair, maybe 45-34, something like that. And whoever comes on top, honestly, I give Chase a real good chance to knock off the number one seed next week. I think they're playing really good ball at the right time of year. So we'll see what happens. Reidsville's a great program, a storied program across the state. So we'll see what happens. But hey, Chase is 12-0 for a reason, and I think they'll give the Reidsville Rams a game next week.
Well, they are beatable because Reidsville is 11-1, so that means they are beatable because somebody beat them. And whenever
that's right. Who was it? It was Greensboro Page. I'm sorry.
Right, Greensboro Page.
So they are.
Okay.
So they are beatable. So we they can. Coach Carter go back. I know he'll go back and watch some of that film. And also, I would. If Coach Carter, he's a great guy too. He's from Cleveland County. I love the man to death. He's even though he was at Burns and I'll be at Shelby. He was always friendly to me.
Yeah.
He was always friendly to me, and I got a lot of respect for him. And I'm just glad that he has that program in the right direction. And also, somebody made a comment earlier. I don't know if we wanted to play him this year because somebody said they might have ended their streak against Shelby this year. So I don't know.
That's right. It could definitely come to an end this year. I think that Chase is really wanting that matchup, see if they can do that to finally get the monkey off their back. Unfortunately, they did not get that chance this year. But Shelby, they'll be back. So
yeah. So just keep just tell Coach Carter to keep working them Trojans hard, like y'all would do. See, he done took the Cleveland County mentality to Rutherford County.
Yeah,
because the Kings in Cleveland County work hard, coach like nobody else can coach him. So he's done took all that attitude that he's got to Rutherford County and instilled it in these young men. I think that's why their program is successful.
So I want to ask you one quick question. We're looking ahead. Who knows what may happen? It could end up maybe Chase and Burns at some point in time there. Wow. What would the storylines be on that?
Oh, man. That's going to be if it happens, whoo, I'm going to be at that game. I'm going.
If they did play, that would be in the West. That would be in the West final. finals if it would be in the West
I'm
finals.
definitely going.
And
to
it
that
would be
one.
at Burns.
Listen, if those two teams play each other in the finals, Jonathan, we'll probably do the pregame and postgame from Lawndale.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We might sit outside in the cold that night for a little bit of
Only
that.
thing
Right.
about going to Reedsville is if you ever been to Reedsville before, it's a very hostile place because
I've never been to
They
Reedsville
got
before,
that
but I'm
swagger.
ready to go. And I hear it's a great atmosphere
It
to
is,
have a
it
football
is.
game in. I know their fans are really passionate, so looking forward to Friday night.
it'd be like South Point.
Passionate is not the word.
Chase gonna be down 7 before you get off the bus. So
Last year in the playoffs, Jonathan, this is what Reedsville did: 49-7 over Randleman, then beat Chase 56-24, then beat Hendersonville 50-35, and then lost to Shelby 31-14. So that was Reedsville's road last season. So hopefully Chase might have something. If they're better than last year and Reedsville's not as good as last year,
They
might have something.
Listen, Chase got to go up to Reedsville with a little get back in them. They got to have a little get. Hey, listen, y'all smacked us in the playoffs
That's
last
right.
year. Y'all stopped our run last year. Y'all stopped us
I'm
from
picking
getting to
Chase.
Shelby. Chase has got to go up there with a little bit of a
I'm
chip
picking
on their
Chase.
shoulder and be ready to smack somebody next week.
I'm picking Chase.
I think that's the key. I think they may have learned a lot from last year. I think they'll come up there hopefully with a more experienced group. They've learned some things from the loss last year. This year in the third round here, they know what's on the line. They got 16, 18 seniors. It's win or go home right now. So hopefully that Chase comes out with a different mentality than they did last year. They will come away with a victory next Friday.
All right, Jonathan. Well, you have a good weekend and take care, you and family and everybody, and look forward to hearing from you guys next week. And hopefully next time I hear your guys' voices, y'all be, I guess, at a bar in Reedsville. Or where's Reedsville close to?
Greensboro.
Y'all be at a bar in Greensboro celebrating.
and
I
try to
hope
keep
so.
Paul
We'll see what
Foster
happens
straight.
next week. Look forward to being on the radio with you next week.
All right, thanks, Jonathan.
Yeah, keep Paul
Take care.
Foster
You guys have a
straight,
good
man.
one.
Jonathan Bland with the call on Waggy last night, along with Paul Foster. Chase undefeated 35-14 win over Robinson. Will head to Reedsville next week. Again, like I said, I hope everything in the world that Chase can beat Reedsville. I wish they would have got to see them play some of our local teams. If they do beat Reedsville, then it is local. Then they'll get Maiden or Bunker Hill the next week. So that there's some of our local matchup would be
Steve,
nice.
you guys have a long history with Reedsville too.
Right.
Beat them last year.
What can you tell us about Reedsville? What to expect from them as a team?
Well, first, Chase can't let them intimidate you because they got that swagger about they got the most championships in state of North Carolina. This is what That's what you see when you go up there. All this swag they got, so they're gonna try and intimidate you. Think they're gonna be superior, but it was like last year. We told our kids, you play the game between the hash mark. That's what a lot of young kids have to do. Quit putting all this stuff on social media and play the game of football between the hash marks.
Yeah.
And the team that wants the best, that's who's going to win. So the Trojans, do not let them intimidate y'all because that's what they're going to try to do.
Well, I think the key as the coach, I would tell my kids, don't get on social media
Right. That's what
during
Coach
playoffs.
Right. Coach Woodbanks tells our kids stay off the social media, but the parents get on there and make it even worse. So, and another thing, when Chase get there, it's gonna be a game of up and down. So if you get down by a touchdown, don't panic.
Yeah.
Just play your game.
That's 4 quarters.
It's 4 quarters. It ain't how you start; it's how you end. So that's the advice I would give.
Sorry, Steve. Me and Will's being a little silly real quick. So what kind of offense I'm looking at the highlights last year, they were throwing the ball. Is that what they're doing? Do they spread it like you guys do, or they run it all?
They do a lot. They always have a great defense, and they had a couple of big linemen last year that played both ways. And I see they hadn't played, like you said, they hadn't played a full game. So in the fourth quarter, they got tired. So we just pound the ball on them last year and start running it on them. And and the main thing is do not let them intimidate you because they think they topped out.
Yeah, if you listen to their fans, you'd think that they'd just go whoop the Dallas Cowboys or the
Anybody.
Green Bay Packers. Well, maybe they could whoop the Green Bay Packers, Will. But anyway, they can beat anybody.
Right.
Well, so Chase will have to deal with that. Let's get back real quick to what we was going to talk to a minute ago with South Point, and that talk about defending them, and how you guys like to do it. We was talking about the penetrating the defense. Well, how does Crest change? What are they? Let's say, Steve, you guys got beat. Let's say if you got beat 35-14 by South Point, and you go back and watch the tape. What kind of adjustments can you make or do you make, and tell your kids, well, if we do this, this is what's going to change this outcome of this game? Because just knowing the offense that they run.
Okay, you also remember they snuck that tight end pass in on Crest last time too.
Mm-hmm.
So the defensive end, if he see that tight end in there, he's got to push him. Gonna push him when he got the line of scrimmage to get him off his tracks. Because if you just leave him alone, he'll run the seam route on you. The quarterback, all they got to do is just drop it over his head. And then the down lineman, one of those guys got to be assigned to tackle the fullback every single play. Somebody got to be assigned to hit the quarterback, whether if he got legal hit now, whether if he got the ball or not, every single play.
Every play.
And your corner or your outside linebacker got the pitch man.
And it's legal as long as if he's running a fake and he's still running that fake,
right.
it's legal to hit him.
Oh, yeah. But
I know.
Steve, I think too.
I forgot.
Y'all took plenty of liberties on those rules.
You've got to have a tough nose tackle that can drive that center back as soon as he releases that snap, and then basically bring that guy down. And to do that, you've got to rotate that guy to keep him fresh at the nose guard. And then you back off, like we talked about, and you have your linebackers hit that fullback, hit that quarterback. And that's the way you can contain them. And they'll have to go to a passing game. And then if Crest is good enough with their defensive backs, they can pick those passes off.
Exactly.
McCall. But Brandon, he's a great kid. I know Brandon, and also Coach Brandon when he played in Shelby too. That's another example of a kid who transferred, who came out ahead because he was in that. We had a backlog of defensive backs, and Brandon felt like he maybe wouldn't get to look at some playing time in Shelby, so he went to Crest. So, and another thing, when you attack the pitch, you got to attack it from outside in.
Yeah.
Because if you attack it inside out, once they pitch it, he's got the outside. So you always try to attack it outside to make him cut back where you got to help to tackle it.
Yeah, you got to set the corner.
Got to set the corner
and force him back.
That's right.
Because there's just bodies in the way.
Right.
It may not be your guys, but they got bodies in the way too.
So just real quick, because we just watched some highlights there. This is South Point's victory over Crest. We'll watch this again. Just from your point of view, Steve, if you had, the most important defender against the position-wise, not name-wise, but position-wise. No, for your defender. Who's your most important defender? Is it a lineman or linebacker like that? If that guy plays well against South Point tonight, we're going to have a chance to win.
I nose
tackle. All right, that's what I was kind of was asking that. So this is South Point against Crest earlier this year with a 35-14 victory. Medlock, I think, had 4 or 5 touchdowns up the middle there on them, and you saw that the pass there they got scored in some rough some rough tackling from the Crest DBs after that. But there's Medlock just running straight through them.
But if you look on that, if you go back to that play where he ran straight through, can you go back to that?
Was that the first one?
And so another thing, watch. See how wide South Point's receiver is. He's taking that man way out of play.
Taking him out of play.
Look at that.
His only job is to take that.
Look at that. He's way over there. There's no way they're gonna run that ball that way.
I would tell this DB that now, Steve, you can tell me I'm wrong or not, but I would be like, first of all, this DB right here, bruh, get 5 yards off the ball and just watch. Right there, they're not going to throw the quick slant on you 2 yards in, are they, Steve? So I would back that DB up like 4 or 5 yards and be like,
first of all, he got his head.
Why is your back turned to him?
His back to the ball anyway.
That's what I was
getting. If they throw
at.
it, he couldn't defend it.
Well, you ask about the keys, Kevin, and Steve's right. It's that tough play of the nose guard on that center, making him possibly snap that ball over the guy's head. But those 2 inside linebackers, it's a 3-pronged fork that you get them. You back those linebackers off just enough that when they get that initial launch at your knees, then you got those two linebackers with enough space that they can put helmet on helmet with that fullback and that quarterback.
And see, as a defensive coach, you teach your guys to crowd the line of scrimmage, to get your helmet as closest to the end of that ball as you can for being outside. But against South Point, you gotta back up a little bit.
Everything's different
because they're gonna go in unison. If you see it, Kevin, they're gonna go to cut you.
Yeah,
that's to get the linebacker. See, if they cut you, they got 5 yards already. If they cut you, get you out of the way, because that's gonna clog up from the linebackers for making the tackle. But if you can back off of them a little bit or get them, and plus they're gonna run him that 6'7" guy.
Well, let's take a break.
6'7" guy.
And JP, when we come back, we'll finish up the show. We'll do the scores for everybody again. For the radio people, I know we've been talking a lot. Let me read through the scores from yesterday and today real quick, and then we'll go straight to break, JP, so be ready. Eastern Randolph, 28-12 over Mountain Heritage. They'll play Robbinsville, who won 39-12 over Cherokee. Hayesville wins 14-13 at Christ the King. They'll travel to Mount Airy, who won 57-7 over North Rowan. Thomasville wins 21-0 over Swain County. They'll host Drone, who's 11-1 now this season, folks, with a 1-point loss as their only loss on the season. They win tonight at Mitchell, 35-30. They'll travel to Thomasville next week in a 6-3 matchup. Number 7, Murphy. Yeah, I know, right? Number 7, Murphy won tonight, 38-34 over East Wilkes. They'll travel to number 2, Andrews, 35-0 winners over Mountain Island Charter. In the 2A, Reedsville won 51-25 over Providence Grove. They'll host Chase, number 8 seed, who won 35-14. The number 5 seed Maiden Blue Devils won tonight, 46-13. They'll host the number 13 seed Bunker Hill Bears, who came down from 40-27 in the fourth quarter to win 41-40 and snatch victory from the jaws of defeat in Davidson. Burns Bulldogs win 42-0 over Shelby. They'll host the Salisbury Hornets, who won 48-13 over Pine Lake. Salisbury, the 6 seed, Burns, the 3 seed. The 7 seed Monroe Redhawks beats Lincoln Wolves 55-7, and they'll travel to the number 2 seed East Surrey Cardinals, who squeaked out a win over the Hendersonville Bearcats. Over in the 3A, the number 1 seed Kings Mountain Mountaineers continue to win 42-0 tonight over the Smoky Mountain Mustangs. They'll host the West Charlotte Golden Lions, the West Charlotte Lions, 56-7. Trained to say Golden.
It's the only one Golden Lion.
56. The Detroit Golden Lions, 56-7 over the High-Bright Panthers. Ledford, 42-28 over the Northwest Cabarrus Trojans. Ledford travels to East Lincoln, who won 35-7 over Tuscola. East Lincoln, the 4 seed. Ledford, the 12. Crest, the 14 seed, beats the 3 seed, and the 11 seed South Point beats the 6 seed Dudley. Crest wins 42-15 over Oak Grove. South Point 74-41 over Dudley. They'll play again in Belmont next week. Chargers.
Funny how those
Red Raiders.
two underdogs really dominated their games.
Eastern Guilford 62-42 over the Irwin Warriors, and the West Henderson Falcons beat the West Rowan Falcons 56-42. We'll be right back on KTCBroadcasting.com.
If you're ready to make the great escape, do it with the number 1 brand on the water. Yamaha Wave Runners are the most premium personal watercraft on the market, with industry-first features and exciting new products like the all-new 2021 VX Series with audio packages, the much-anticipated Superjet, and the new race-ready GP Series. This is Wave Runner country. See one today at Full Throttle Power Sports, located at 100 Indian Walk off I-85 in Laurel.
Get the fire you desire at Future Energy Company in Shelby. Get ready for winter weather with your new Monessen or Lopi gas logs or inserts. And see them today at Future Energy Company. And there's plenty of tailgate and or backyard cookouts to be done. See the Green Mountain Pellet Grills or the Big Green Eggs. And see the Badland Series from Big Frig Coolers. All at Future Energy Company, 130 West Graham Street in Shelby. Online at futureenergyco.com.
Is buying insurance confusing to you? It doesn't have to be that way when you call Claudia Vaughn at Golden Solutions Insurance in Shelby. Golden Solutions Insurance can help in retirement planning and simplifies buying Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplemental, prescription drug, dental and vision, and under 65 healthcare insurance plans from Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, Aetna, Humana, and many more. Call Claudia Vaughn at Golden Solutions Insurance today at 704-477-1426. That's 704-477-1426.
There's nothing worse than going to bed and finding bed bugs. What do? You call H&H Termite Pest Control and Waterproofing in Shelby. They'll put your bed bugs to sleep for good. And call H&H to treat your yard for mosquitoes. And just announced, H&H Waterproofing was named the best of the best for the second straight year. H&H Termite Pest Control and Waterproofing, 520 East Dixon Boulevard in Shelby, online at hhpci.com. If you live in a mobile home, or maybe you own a mobile home park, either way, listen up. H&M Industries in Shelby now sells mobile home supplies. They have everything you need. Mobile home windows, mobile home doors, vinyl, and more. And with H&M Industries, you get wholesale pricing. That's H&M Industries, located at 3931 West Dixon Boulevard in Shelby. Online at hmiwindows.com and like them on Facebook too. Get your mobile home supplies today at H&M Industries. Whirlpool, Samsung, KitchenAid, and LG refrigerators have all been unloaded at Hendrick Appliance and Mattress Center in Shelby. Save big money on these scratch and dented refrigerators, and all with a 1-year warranty. But that's not all. Scratch and dented washers and dryers, including top mount and front mount high-end laundry units. Bosch stainless steel dishwashers for $499, and all with a 1-year warranty. And check out their YouTube videos, Hendrick Appliance and Mattress Center, 1241 East Dixon Boulevard in Shelby, on the right going down, on the left coming up.
And we're back on the Full Throttle Power Sports post-game show with Dennis and his Deacons. Although Dennis isn't even in his chair.
No. We're going to get Will set up here
Steve's kinda
in just a sec. We're setting Will up for the Willustrator. Will, see if it works while you're standing there. Circle somebody. Yeah, it works.
I am.
There it works.
And
don't
yeah,
follow
you
the
were
guy.
in here. I was actually
The
said
circle
welcome
stays in the
Dennis
same
and his
spot.
Deacons. So
we ain't that fancy,
Why you
Will.
gotta show that game?
Will.
Why you gotta show that game, Will?
I don't know why.
Give Steve the pen.
What's wrong, Steve?
It was not
get
my
the pen and
choice
come on
again.
over here,
I
Steve.
don't wanna go.
You want to do some film study, Steve? No.
I was literally going to break down something.
What was you want? What do you want me to pull up? You didn't want me to pull up the. That's what I was doing. Oh, you don't want to. Oh, I thought you wanted to see Burns and Shelby highlights, and you was going to break that down. That's what Steve wanted to see.
Fellas, I get no respect.
It's gonna be a knife fight in the parking lot.
Now you know how I feel, Steve.
Go ahead.
Look, Steve, great tackle. Great tackle by that kid.
Yeah, but 10 yards down the field.
No, that was a good tackle. That
was the other game. That wasn't. Because we wore white on white the other night. We even tried to wear different uniforms.
Oh, is this the first game?
Yes, that's the first
Oh, okay.
game.
I thought this was the last. Oh, that wasn't last night. All right, Will. What do you want me to pull up, Will? I'll pull it up.
And, but why are you doing that though? to understand, we got 8 returners back on defense.
Yeah.
We had to get a whole new defense because most of the dogs from last year they're playing college football, which is the
you got a bunch of defenders in college football right now.
Which is the tribute to the kids in Shelby High. So we losing 3 starters on defense. That's Tyler Boyce. He's gonna go to Davidson, and we losing Justin Lipscomb 52. He played both ways, and then we're losing T.J. Griffin. So we have 8 kids back on defense.
Mm-hmm.
By that time, Coach Water had them straight. So we struggle a little bit on defense, and then we have a lot back coming on offense. We had to get a new quarterback. But we have our running back. We have 2 receivers back. And I have like 3 of my 5 offensive linemen back.
You looking to draw on the line or something, Will? Is that what you're looking for? I'm not sure you
Breeze
can do
at the line of scrimmage.
anything of that. I'll see if I can find. I thought you was wanting to do some the Burns highlights with that. Let me pull. So you see, I can pull that up too. South Point High School Red Raiders. See if I can get some type of highlight from that. I could probably pull up any. How about that? you want the huddle highlights so we can pull it up. We'll see if I can get one up here in just a second. You just trying to what do you want before the play starts? Is that what you're talking about? We can find something. I tell you what, Will. You see that microphone over there? Bring that over here. I'm gonna hook you up
On
that stand
behind you.
If it's a snake, it'll bit him. Where's he, Will, at? He's on one of these. Yeah, let me see that for quick. You can turn that on. Talk if I get give me 2 seconds. Let's see. Check. Y'all got me over there? Can y'all hear me? Check. Can you
Hey, I can hear you.
Can you? Yeah. All right, here you go, Will. You can go to the board. All right, Will's gonna do some telestrating here in a second as soon as we get up a South Point play. He wanted to draw, but Will, you can talk to us like this.
I'm getting back in the game now.
You're definitely in the game now.
I feel like Lou Rawls with this thing. Look at this spike on the end of it. You'll never find.
See if we can go now.
Oh my goodness! You done heard it all. Well, what Will's trying to do here is pull up. I'm going to pull up a South Point where they're lined up, so he can kind of give you some telestration here. How about let's go to here, if the internet will catch up with me. You folks can see him spinning online, but what he's going to try to here is break down a little bit of film for you guys. So the winner of that game, West hit. All right, let's try this. Will.
Look, see.
Back it up just a little bit there. All right, Will. That's the best I can do right now. Let's get you a big shot. How about that?
So this is, first of all, it's not a 50 base. They don't have linemen in these spots up here. What you need is a lineman here. The hat on the hat. Hat for this hat. Hat for this hat. Everybody need to be lined up on it. See, there's not a man here to line up on that hat.
All right, hold on a sec, Will. I got my microphone went out on you for a second. Let's get you. Go ahead.
Steve, you know what I'm saying. So I don't need a mic. Steve can describe what I'm talking about.
Let me pull it up for Will here. All right, Will, go ahead. Maybe.
What Will is trying to say is if you run a 50 base, every guy on the line of scrimmage is going to be covered because it'll be a man on man. Man on man. So.
And the most important one would be the man that's lined up with this man here.
And then see the inside, the down tackle will have the fullback. That center's job, the nose guard will be able to take care of the center. That the guys that the guy.
All the nose guard got to do on
Right, right. Then the guy.
Blow that center up every time.
Then the guys in the ones that land up on the guard or between the guard, they're gonna have the fullback. Right. Every time that fullback comes in, they gotta tackle him. They have to tackle him. Okay. Then the quarterback gonna fake it to the fullback. He's gonna ride the fullback. Once the quarterback pulls it back out, comes to the left or the right, the next man gonna have to take the quarterback. They keep him inside. Once he get past the tackle and get ready to pitch it, either a linebacker or a corner or will have to take the pitch man. It's got to be that every single play.
Y'all got me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Harry.
So.
Not if it doesn't connect.
Hold it. All right. So Steve described it so you can let it roll. If everything is matched up, like Steve just described, where there's a hat here, and the tackles and the guard, the defensive guards, the defensive tackles and the defensive end are playing their spots where they're supposed to play it. You see, they playing. I think who is this?
It's Lincoln, right?
Lincoln was playing them with a 3-man front. 1, 2, 3 hats down. And you got your linebackers standing up. These should be defensive linemen, and it should be 3 linebackers here. All 5 of those guys should be defensive linemen up there. You should have a tackle. You should have a defensive end, a tackle, nose guard, defensive tackle, defensive end. That's the way you set that up.
That's how we played them. We took one of our linebackers out or one of our corners out and put another defensive line in. We ran a 5-man front against South Point when we played them.
Right.
5-man front.
And Divine set that 50 up. See here? See that line move?
See that cut? See how they cut?
Cut. All of them moved unison. All that weight from that line shifting right there. The whole right side, came down on the guy that was in the middle on the 3-man front, and they left the guy on the end alone.
Everybody going to step with their left foot and try to go across their body.
You can't play this guy with nobody's on that center. Nobody's covering the center here. Nobody's covering the center here.
You got to have a nose guard on him.
You got to have a nose guard here.
Or you
This
can
guy's he's playing this gap, but it's got to be a nose guard here.
Or you can shade him. If you got a tight end, you can shade him to the tight end side or the weak side. It depends on what the formation is. But you got to have somebody in that gap because, look, that's automatic fullback dive right there.
Right.
See, look. Nobody never touched
where nobody was at.
You see how I was telling y'all guys?
And he's 4 yards down the field.
Right. So South Point cut him, and the fullback just jumped over and run that play back. See, look. He jumped right over and look at that touchdown.
If you roll it back just a little bit, this guy cut nothing.
He had nothing to block.
He had nothing to block, but he still cut. They've been running this play since Pee Wee.
The center never touched anybody.
There's nobody there to block.
There's nobody there to block.
There was nobody
But they've
on
been running that offense. They've been running it since Pee Wee, and they just automatically that's what they do.
Back up and show those guys when they come off the ball, they're all laying on the ground. Your guards and your tackles are laying on the ground because they chopped you.
Look, first thing they do, see, look.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red hats on the ground, and the center's standing up.
But that's because the center wasn't covered.
The center's
not the center had been covered. He'd done the same thing.
There you go.
See, by them cutting the ground, see, that's making the defensive lineman automatic back up. See, he out there on the 2-yard line. That's automatic.
Oh, sorry. That's your fault, Will.
It's automatic.
You hit something over there. Go ahead.
That's automatic touchdown. What Will's trying to say.
Yeah.
See that cover, the center's not covered, so the quarterback can read it, or he could have run a quarterback sneak. Got He could have ran the quarterback sneak.
They got a choice.
I'm going back to my seat.
It's your turn this time, Mr. Fullback. You take it, or I'll take it.
You set it down.
Every other time, whatever.
And run this play back right here. Watch this, Dennis. Watch 65. He don't even know how to pass the ball. He don't, see, look, they run so much. He's not even sure if he's going to pass. Look at that.
That's a big old dude.
No,
yeah, but he's doing nothing.
There's nobody there. There's nobody
doing
there.
nothing.
There's nobody there for him to do nothing too.
That's what I'm saying.
But if you had a man in front of him.
But if you got a nose guard and you got your guards and tackles backed off so that they can't just shoot out and do that, and then you play that nose guard on the center, and then you bring those 2 linebackers in the gap to cover that fullback and that quarterback, then you shut them down.
All right, folks. Well, we broke down some film. You pointed. It's supposed to. There you go.
And see, y'all guys don't realize too. Coaches as soon as they get out of church on Sundays, they go straight to the school, and sometimes they be there from 1 o'clock to 6 or 7 o'clock that day, breaking down the film from the game before, and they grade these film for these young men.
Mm-hmm.
And say if you're supposed to have a cut block on that play, or if you're supposed to get to the backer, you get a certain grade. You know, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you get a pancake block, that's another grade. So it's just not the coach just putting these kids on the field.
No,
it's more than that. And people don't understand when something go wrong, they want to blame the coach. Well, the coach is spending so much time breaking down film. I know Coach Ehrman said he studies 40 hours of film a week. That's more than most people work just studying film alone to see what other people's attendances is. So when you come to practice on Monday, they already got your game plan.
Well, Steve, let's go back. Say when Coach Allen was coaching as a young coach, they didn't have all this film.
No.
They had
reel to reel.
Had a 16 millimeter, and you'd wind that
what
thing
you
back.
For?
I just some people might not know what that is, but that's funny that way.
And it would burn the film out, and this, that, and the other.
I'm just trying to see the guys on the sideline trying to run reel to reel and run. We got a projector screen,
but he knows more or less what he's supposed to be doing in that situation. He gets a picture of it in his mind, and he plans it out. Now, what we do today is we got all this electronic stuff, and we try to, study the film that way. It gives you more information, but it comes down to the same thing we've been doing for the last 40 years.
What are your tendencies on 4th and 2? On 4th and 2, they line up in this certain formation.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times they gonna run this play.
But South Point should be the easiest team to defend because they do the same thing, and have done it for the last 40 years.
So even Shep, we used to be the same way. Back in the day, if you check out score South Point, they never was high scoring games.
Yeah.
Because we ran up. Coach Allen maybe throw it. If you look in the record, but I think Mike Callahan may have had like 7 touchdowns for a whole career.
Y'all never throwed the ball till Coach Ware come along.
Whole career, 7 touchdowns.
Airware came along, and all of y'all went, "Oh no, we can't do that."
So if you played tight end at Shelby High, you was a blocker. So in other words, you was a tackle with an 80 number. That's basically what you were. And we'll go 2 tights, and we'll get about a Tommy London or Eberhart come straight at you.
Yep.
And Coach Allen.
Who'd you say?
Tommy London or Larry Eberhart.
He called today.
Who was that?
Eberhart.
Yeah, Eberhart ain't called today.
Somebody named Eberhart called the office today.
There wasn't no Larry. If he did, he called from heaven.
Somebody named Eberhart called the office today. He said, I played running back at Shelby High School.
No way.
Long time ago, in the 70s. He said,
Must have been Tommy London.
He said in the 70s.
Must have been Tommy London. Wasn't Eberhart.
Yeah, Tommy's still around.
I know that's what the name that came up on that phone was Eberhart. It
might have been his phone, but he didn't call.
I don't know if it was him. I'm just saying that somebody did call it. That was a coincidence. He said that.
And we only had 8 plays. We had 4 plays to the right, 4 plays to the left.
Yeah.
And we ran them well. You know what we was gonna run when we played you.
But
you just had to stop them. That's the same way the red bone is now.
Yeah.
You know what they're gonna run.
Y'all ran more fullback dive than anything.
And every now and then we'll pull the guard.
Yeah.
Or we'll pull the tackle or something like that, or a counter trap. But most time we're gonna run the ball.
Yeah.
Yes, run the ball.
And if you was in junior high school at that time under Don Pack, you run the swinging gate.
Same thing.
What's funny, you mentioned that as far as only having a few plays. I know, Cowboys fan here back in the day, there's a reason Norv Turner hasn't succeeded since he left the Cowboys. He only had 5 or 6 plays. It was Emmett handoff right, Emmett handoff left, Emmett toss right, Emmett toss left, and then pass play. Well, the pass play, I know the pass play by heart. Michael Irvin would either run a comebacker or a go. Novacek would cross the middle, and Alvin Harper's running the fly. Every play. And that's the only play they ever called.
But did it work?
They actually interviewed him. He was in an interview like a couple weeks ago, and they were asking about that. He was talking about that. I think we only had like 6 or 7 plays, maybe tops. And he said, nobody can stop them. But then he gets hired by the Panthers to be their coordinator, and I'm like, that's not going to work. They don't have Emmett
when
Michael
you got
there.
1,500 pounds in front of you, you don't need but 5 plays.
Yeah. Hey, when you had the kitchen up there in front of you.
When you got the whole restaurant in front of you, you don't need but 5 plays.
When you had Nate the kitchen Newton in front of you.
Now,
but for serious though, you fans don't understand how much time that the coaches put into this, and we always think that they said, "Well, why that coach run that play?" Well, we ran that play because we thought it was going to work, and when it don't come out the way people think they are, well, that coach this and that coach that. So, my suggestion, if you really want to know the ins and outs of football, study just like the Bible. You got to study thy self-approval because it's more to it than just on Friday nights putting them kids out on the field. It's more to it than that. And if Coach Webb or Coach Emery or somebody don't call it, wait, that dumb coach this and that. Coaches from the stands, it's not really fair. It's not really fair.
Steve, I did almost 20 years at the Park. And that stand talk.
Yes.
You don't hear because you're gonna do whatever the best play you think is gonna give your kids the advantage. That's what you're gonna do. I have coached some years and didn't have to run but 1 play.
Yes.
I ran the veer, which is basically what you said, Kevin. Are we going to go off tackle or are we going to go off the guard? We're going to go right or we're going to go left.
But we ran that play. We ran the play so much. Even Coach Allen would tell the defense what we're going to run. He said, "Fellas, we finna run fullback right, and you gonna get 5 yards.
Right.
If you get 4 yards, he's just as happy. But you get 3, he mad because if you get 4 yards a clip, you never have to punt the ball. So that's why they got that 4 yards in the cloud of dust from.
Yeah.
And so yeah, some of your parents, please quit criticizing coaches, and they'll say, well, put my son in or put my son in. Well, maybe if your son would have practiced a little harder, he might have got to play. And,
Yeah, I will say I do go, and it's not football as far as baseball coaching. This past summer, we had a rough year with our team. One kid didn't. The parent wanted to know why his son come out. I walked out there after he missed a ball that he didn't bend over to try to catch, and I was talking to the pitcher, and I looked over and said, "Why'd you miss that ball?" He said, "I didn't want to catch it." So I walked over to him. I said, "Do you want to play today?" He said, "No." And I said, "Well, go sit on the bench." Well, his mama come over and started yelling at me between innings. Your son just said, "I don't want to play, and I'm not going to catch the ball," and he's at shortstop.
What
am I supposed to do? Just leave him there? Yeah, go ahead. You have fun picking your nose at short.
Yeah, play that dirt right.
And mom's mad at me. But
Play with the dirt. Throw it up in the air. Don't
we
get
didn't
hit
get
by
the
the
first.
ball,
We didn't
man.
get the first one on film. Steve, you're talking about you're going to go back and watch the film. One of your guys did call a fair catch there. He just didn't catch it. Let me back this up just a second. I'm at 46-32. We didn't catch the first onside kick there on the video, but we do got this second one here. But the ball went over one kid that I guess he did listen. One kid threw his hand up and it flew right over his head. But we'll get to that here in just a second as we wrap up the show here on
you
YouTube.
got to communicate.
Right.
You don't back up. You let the guy come up to catch you.
So here's the Burns for the folks watching online. This is Burns kicking off. And Steve, if you'll look, the guy down here, the one's head that's sticking up here at the bottom, he waves for a fair catch. The ball just goes over his head. Little pooch. No, let me back up. The middle guy waved for the fair catch. He didn't. So 46-32. Let me go back 46-19. Here we go. So this kid, 88 or 20, whatever this is, he actually
28.
28. He does wait for the fair catch. It just goes over his head. So he's waving, and then he turns around and looks at somebody else. So I don't know what happened behind
He
it.
wasn't supposed. He's not the man supposed to caught the man on the wing, the one on the
Should've
second
caught
line
that.
with number 4.
Yeah.
Should have caught the ball.
Okay.
Not the guy on the front line. Those guys are the protector. They for onside kicks.
They did have a play coming right out of coming into the third quarter.
What we did.
Shelby did the onside kick.
Nick-
Shelby players came out of the pile with the ball, and they gave the ball back to Burns.
Because they said it was an illegal touch that it didn't go 10 yards.
It was touched before 10.
That's what they say. I don't know.
In the words of Strutter Martin,
when was
in the
was that
movie
play?
Cool
That was the
Hand
first
Luke,
play
of the second half? Okay.
What we have here is a failure to communicate.
Failure to communicate.
I thought it went. I don't know.
We can pull it up. All right, next week, previews for the game, Bulldogs and Salisbury. Steve, you think the Bulldogs can pull through that?
I'm always going to take a Cleveland County team.
Yep. Kings Mountain, of course, hosting West Charlotte. What do you guys say about that?
Kings Mountain's going.
Are we going to have Kings Mountain and East Lincoln? That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
That's what we want.
Yes.
It's going to have a test next week. Kings Mountain's going to have a test next week.
Their first one.
Their first one.
And we're going to have a Burns and Reedsville.
And Burns and Reedsville. So you got Reedsville beating Chase.
Well, Burns or Chase, either one of them. But we're going to Burns. I figure Burns to get to the Western Finals.
All right. I'm going to see if I'm trying to find this first player to say, have you talking about the onside kick you guys ran. So here we go. Here's the Shelby. Now the ball is on the 40. It's got to get to the 50 before Shelby can touch it. Yeah, it's on the 40.
Go to the 50.
Yeah, ball's got to make it 50 before anyone from Shelby can touch it.
Taking the first.
It made it to the
ball's across the 50.
50 yard line.
That's
they said it was illegal touch.
How was it a legal cut?
Yeah,
That's a horrible call.
I don't know.
That's
Is
a
it
horrible
short
call.
of that 50-yard line?
No,
the ball 50 right there where the Bulldogs.
The ball was way across the 50.
Yeah.
Look where the ball is at.
Unless he touched it right there, But I can't tell where the ball's at right there. But
The ball was in front of
I thought it
him.
was, 42-25. Let me back up just one more second. All right, folks, ball's at the 40. We'll see. It looked like the ball bounced across the 50, but let's see.
Yeah.
Boom.
The ball went across the 50.
It's very close. Again, we can't tell, but I think it's clean for you guys. But this one little weird hop in our camera, I'm not 100% sure on it, but
That's like to me. The Burns guy tested anyway.
yeah, I'm
If he
not.
touch it before we touch it, doesn't matter. If it
No, it don't. It don't at all.
Right.
So, we've seen some interesting calls this year,
Oh, there's
Steve.
been some great calls this year. haven't there?
We've seen some. Yeah.
The safety that was not a safety against Lincoln.
But in reality, to guys, we didn't stop them. We didn't stop them.
No, I did that. I know you weren't listening to the game, obviously, Steve. But I was listening to Jeff, and Tom's the Mr. Pessimistic, and well, what should we do here? And Jeff said, well, Tom, y'all can probably call any play you want because Shelby hasn't stopped any play you've called so far. That was Coach Jones' comment, and I know you didn't.
He was right. It was because we practiced against. We knew they was gonna go to the outside. They weren't gonna run up the middle because they didn't want to run against Big Baby.
Yeah.
So they was trying to get to the flanks, and we couldn't stop them. Of course, the good smart coach is gonna call the same play over and over and over. When the guy went in motion, we know he's gonna run the jet sweep.
Mm-hmm.
Our corners, they just like Dennis said, he got to seal the corner. We didn't seal the corner, and now I'm over here with y'all guys.
Well, we love you having you here, Steve.
Well, don't make that sound like it's such a burden.
I know.
Excuse me.
Now I'm over here with y'all guys. You got free food.
We did feed
We
you.
love you, Steve.
But it ain't like being with them kids. That's
I can see.
that is my highlight of the day. You know what I'm saying? That is
Yeah.
my highlight of the day, to walk out there on that field with those young men every day. 43 years of my life.
I understand.
And hope God can bless me to do it 43 more.
Ooh.
Steve, if you're out there in 43 years, I'm gonna tell you to get off the field.
Well, with Lord's
Steve,
willing,
you gonna be if you out there 43 years, you gonna walk out 15 minutes before the team get out there to get to the sideline.
Pops, somebody might wheel me out.
It might be the Steve DeGree football clubhouse by that time.
By that
If he's-
time,
if
for
he's there
sure.
that long.
For sure.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. Let me go through the scores, and for you folks listening on the radio and at home, and then we'll say goodbye till next Friday. Hopefully next Friday night instead of Thursday night. We have another hurricane coming. Anybody know?
Could be ice and whatever.
Eastern Handoff 28-12 over Mountain Heritage. They'll host Robbinsville next week, who won 39-12 over Cherokee. Hayesville 14-13 winners over Christ the King. They'll go to Mount Airy, who won 57-7 over North Rowan. Thomasville 21-0 over Swain County. They'll host Drone, who won 35-10 over Mitchell. Murphy Bulldogs 38-34 over East Wilkes. They'll travel to number 2 Andrews next week, who won 35-0 over Mountain Island Charter. Reedsville wins 51-25 over Providence Grove. They'll host Chase next week, 35-14. That game will be on WAGY here on KTCBroadcasting.com. A rematch in the South Fork 2A, number 1 versus number 2. 3 points separated them in the last game. Maiden wins 46-13 over Mount Pleasant. Bunker Hill 41-40 over Community School of Davison. Rematch next week here in our area, and we'll have we might have highlights of that game on KTC Broadcasting. I believe we will next week. Shelby at Burns. Shelby falls 0-42. Bulldogs win in Lawndale. They'll host Salisbury, who won 48-13 next Friday night. That game will be live on YouTube with Tom Sinifani and Matt Royster. Lincoln falls 55-7 at Monroe. Monroe will travel to East Surrey, who won 21-16 over Hendersonville. Kings Mountain wins 42-0 over Smoky Mountain. They'll host West Charlotte next week, who won 56-7 over High Brighton. Ledford travels to East Lincoln next week after winning 42-28 over Northwest Cabarrus. And the Mustangs won 35-7 over Tuscola. The Crest Chargers go to a rematch next week in Belmont. They win 42-15 over Oak Grove. South Point won 74-41 over Dudley. Raiders and Chargers next week. WHS 101.5 FM. East Lincoln next week will be on LincolnCounty.com. And Kings Mountain, of course, is on Cherville now, 92.9 FM. Eastern Guilford Wildcats and the worst logo in the history of sports. 62-42 winners over Irwin and West Henderson. 56-42 over West Rowan.
Kevin, I got a quick question.
Go ahead.
If you're Smoky Mountain and you got beat 42-0 tonight, or you're Bunker Hill and Community School of Davidson, and your Community School of Davidson and you got beat 41-40, I know you don't want to lose, but which one of those hurts the most?
40-41.
Yeah.
42-0 Burns.
No,
You asked the
I'd
question.
rather lose 42-0 than 41-40.
Steve, you like that logo?
No.
It looked like somebody wiped a booger and
That's
drew
a golden
some
line,
eyes,
isn't it?
stuck some googly eyes on it.
Isn't that a golden line?
That is not a golden line.
No, okay.
That is a
Okay, fellas, that's enough.
that's a snot bubble with eyes. Eastern Gifford. Wow.
Well,
the comment of the night.
before you look over here, I know this side is Chris, but I didn't say anything about the gold lines. That was the older Chris person.
It's okay.
The comment of the night on Eastern Guilford was
Some
that
things make you laugh, Dennis might make you cry.
Was they let a student do that for extra credit. We'll see you next week on KTC Broadcast.
The preschool department.
Things make you cry, make you laugh, Dennis might make
Blocks on fourth down, we get big stops. My secondary is balling out. Your offense keeps stalling out.